The Flame of Valon. This is apparently Brandon Sanderson's favourite episode, or at least he said from the script, so looking forward to this. I don't know what else is going to happen. Maybe something should happen to get them up to Valdara, but that kind of plotline hasn't really appeared much in the series so far. So maybe they're going to do it a bit differently. I don't know. Or maybe that'll be the beginning of the next episode where it's all about the ways. Anyway, let's get on with it. Oh, first, I got an advent calendar to open up today, isn't it? Yes. I got a red one. This is now the third episode in a row that contains virtually no material from the books. At this point, they are pretty much writing their own story, but it's still going in the general direction of the book, so it's not wholly original. Brandon Sanderson is famous for saying this is his favourite episode of the season, and I have to agree. This episode, more than any other that has come before, feels like the Wheel of Time as it will eventually become. Most book readers will agree that the Wheel of Time does not become the Wheel of Time until the fourth book, where it escapes its Lord of the Rings influence and becomes its own story. In this episode, we get a hint of White Tower politics and scheming, and also get a feel that the Tower is not necessarily a safe place. Not to get too much into book spoilers, but this build-up is something that we never really got to see in the books until it came to a head. Again, this is something that I believe the show is doing well, filling in the gaps that the books weren't able to get into. It is also interesting that the show is making so many changes that even us book readers are kept guessing as to their final plans, including one particular plot point that I will show in my initial reaction later on. In order to talk about the show more, I will now need to issue a spoiler warning. You have been warned. Ooh, is this young Swan? I just recognise it from the tattoo. I like that they start the episode off with young Swan in Tyr. Her origins were constantly mentioned in the books, right down to the way she curses and her fishing analogies. But I don't remember Jordan writing too much about the fact that she came from a nation where channeling is outlawed. This is something that I was happy to see explored in the show. It is also worth mentioning here that Swan's origin directly contradicts Nynaeve's belief that the old wisdom of the two rivers was turned away for being poor. I wonder if they'll elaborate on this at some point, as I do not believe it to be a continuity error. In the books, Moiraine and Swan were very good friends, and it was even hinted that they were in a relationship during their training at the Tower. So when I saw the treatment of Moiraine by Swan, I wondered whether this was another change by the showrunners, or whether this was all a ruse. Is this an act? They should be friends. Book readers will know that this is nothing out of the ordinary for Swan to maintain such a pretense. However, in the book, this was not really done with Moiraine, at least not to such an extent. So I was happy to see that this friendship was maintained and that their relationship was made explicit. Not sure how this will affect the future of these characters, as they most definitely were not in a relationship by the start of the first book. Yeah! But then we get to the elephant in the room. Did Moiraine travel to Tyr to meet Swan? I assume it's Tyr. It's certainly not the White Tower, but travelling is not a thing in the age the story is set in. Perhaps she used a Tyr Grill, an object infused with the one power to do a specific thing. This is my guess, for Moiraine and Swan to have rediscovered such a revolutionary talent from the Age of Legends would be a monumental change. Plus, considering it seemed to be tied to the picture, I would say that the picture is a Tyr Grill. One issue I have with this episode is the ending. We get a brief tease of the ways, which looks great, but it changes a lot of things if the ways require channeling to open. In the books, anyone could open the way gate, but now they need a channeler to do so. Another thing, Loyal does not seem as apprehensive about going into the ways as he did in the books. He was a massive part of the suspense that built up the ways as a threat. But here he seems to agree to help with very little objection. Now this could be explained away by the fact that Loyal has not yet been in the ways and so is not aware of how dangerous they can be despite reading about them. Similar to how Moraine is sceptical about the prophecies of the dragon. If this is the case, this makes more sense, as people don't always believe with absolute certainty stories that have been passed down from generation to generation. This is my headcanon, and it helps to make sense of this particular issue. But that is not my main issue. Matt decides to stay behind. This is not just a change like before, this is a massive change to the entire story, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. One of the most important events in Matt's arc happens in Book 2, and it happens because he is with the others. Surely he must meet up with them again at some point, but how? Also, has this been done to somehow explain away the fact that Barney Harris will be replaced in Season 2? Will they write the change of actor into the story, Doctor Who style? So many questions, and I am both excited and nervous to find out what happens. Overall, this was the best episode of the series so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they treat the ways in the next episode. I did not expect that ending. I like that episode. It was better than the previous one. But there was that one thing that I'm not certain about. Now this is book spoilers. In this episode, they put forward the idea that the dragon might be split into 5 people. Now, there's been a few theories out there that suggest that might be the case. In the book, it was most definitely one person. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know whether it's going to be that is what is going to happen. Now that Matt isn't going through the ways, maybe they're going to abandon that idea, or maybe it was just a red herring. I don't know, but it's to bring that up. Without following through with it, it sounds a bit odd. But as I say, it could be a red herring. I hope it is, because I'm not sure I like that idea. It depends on where they go with it. Because if they do go with that idea, it kind of takes away from the actual Dragon Reborn and what that person actually goes through. I kind of hope they don't do it. That's the only thing I've seen so far that has made me doubt this series. That is it. The fact that they're making a mystery about who the Dragon Reborn is, I like that. But this is the only thing that I'm just not sure about. We'll see. I have to see where it goes.